You're on, Barrett.
Okay, so let's start. Welcome to our session. A brief background to provide you context for our presentation. First of all, thank you, MGBCE. This conference has been a great success over the years, providing a forum for information exchange and participation. In the early days, USGBC LA, we were an informal group of like-minded people, and in 2002, we registered this organization as a 501c3 to gain a non-profit status. Back in 2002, Al Gore had lost his bid for presidency. I was talking about climate change using the future tense. To communicate the urgency of global climate change, my slides at that
was going to be.
Hello? Is everyone on mute? So let me continue from what I left off. Yeah, it was about in 2002, I was talking about climate change using the future tense to communicate the urgency of global climate change. But my slides were very focused on increasing sea level rises, acceleration of glaciers melting in the mountains, a threat to fresh water supply impacting agricultural yields. There was also an increase, I was showing increase in extreme weather events such as droughts, food, etc. Now, nearly 20 years later, what has changed? I'm talking about climate change in the present tense. Visit NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, has a web page that tracks all the US-based billion-dollar weather and climate disasters. Just last year, in 2020, our nation suffered 22 events with a combined cost loss of $95 billion in just 1 year. At that time, in 2002, we gathered around sustainability, defining it as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Our aim then was to limit global warming to no more than 2 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels. This target now seems incredibly optimistic. A recent report by the World Meteorological Organization statement on state of global climate change said, we are now on track for global temperatures that are 4 degrees to 5 degrees above pre-industrial levels by the end of the century. It's no longer about reducing our emissions. We need to eliminate them, not to add any more emissions. We know also that those who have contributed the least to the climate crisis are disproportionately impacted. That is to say, the poorer nations with the poorest communities on the front lines of global climate change. A recent Stanford University study published in 2019 titled Global Warming Has Increased Global Inequality showed 25% of potential loss of GDP for poorer nations due to climate change. The same study showed both Norway and Canada were the winners in terms of climate change because their GDP rose 34% and 32% respectively. But we need to do more progress more quickly. Together, we need to move forward. We need to move the world forward, ensure all the natural systems of our planet are safeguarded so that we are all prosperous and have an equitable future. My name is Bharat Patel. Our presentation provides a solution that is scalable and duplicatable that can transform your institution to 100% clean energy. Your first presenter is Dr. Smith. He's managing the district of this size and complexity is a tough job every single day. And Dr. Smith thrives on challenges and providing solutions. So I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Smith.
Good morning, and thank you, Barrett. I appreciate that wonderful introduction that you shared with everyone. You got us ready. I'm proud to present with my esteemed colleagues here today, and we're going to share with you a few learning objectives. So, the goal is for us to be able to demonstrate success in best practices. One of the things that our district uses is shared governance, and we use that process to implement our clean energy policy. And that's how we were able to achieve unanimous support across the district and the board approved resolution. We're also going to look at some case studies, opportunities, and challenges to create healthy, resilient, and equitable buildings. And then we'll plan for our future. How are we going to decentralize renewable energy supply? Looking at a microgrid study at one of our campuses, and then ultimately tools on how we're going to get there. Next slide.
Yeah, this is just like Zoom would like.
So this is a little bit better.
So,
But see, I can't move it. How did you move it?
please mute yourself if you haven't muted yourself already. Thank you. So Barrett gave a little bit of history and what we're looking at over the last 20 years, and you know we have a climate crisis on our hands. It's a global emergency. What are we going to do? How are we going to get there? Net zero by 2050 to avoid the irreversible impacts on the planet. It's not enough to just reduce carbon emissions. We need to eliminate them. We need to look more closely at transportation and our energy goals globally. California has definitely been a pioneer in reducing carbon emissions, passing AB 32 in 2006, and more recently SB 100 in 2018, which is basically a mandate that electricity in this state must be from zero carbon sources by 2045. The County of Los Angeles, the City of LA, MTA, UC System, Cal State Systems, our neighbor LAUSD, and as well as LACCD have all set clean energy goals with the additional broad goals on sustainability. Facilities management priorities. The district, we feel like we have a lot to be proud of in this space. What we're looking at is aligning our facility master plans with our educational master plans. Sustaining and developing outstanding teaching and learning spaces. Student first, a focus in enhancing those opportunities for the student experience, creating living learning labs, collaborative, flexible spaces to promote interaction, ensuring that our M&O staff has the right working environment and support they need moving forward. Of course, resiliency and effectiveness across the board. And we definitely want to improve the productivity of our infrastructure. Next slide, please. Now, this is what you see is a photo to the right, and is the Culinary Arts Building at LA Trade Tech College. This is one of our more recent buildings that we recently opened, and the reason why we want to just share one of our examples with you of some of the things that we're doing at the Los Angeles Community College District. So LA Trade Tech is our largest trade tech college, and the Culinary Arts program is the oldest culinary arts program at community college in the nation. This program has been moved into a new building, recently opened in February. And what's featured in this building is what you see this is just a small portion of the 16 planter box garden, ensuring that our locally sourced ingredients, giving our students the opportunity to have an impact. And with this, we're planning on, having a 15,000 pounds of vegetable and fruit scraps, moving through our compost system. This program, not this program, but this building also has a photovoltaic system that ensures about 65 kilowatts of solar panel generated capacity. We also have 2.5 acres of permeable soil, permeable surfaces, along with this, and 28 trees, a variety of trees. We have sycamore, we have canary pines, and we also have a variety of plants and shrubs to support what we're trying to do as a district across the district with the movement towards our sustainability efforts. So in moving through this process, this is just one of those examples. We have several more to offer. What's critical here in this slide is it shows a delicate balance. This is definitely important for us to try to do more with less. We can't approach this as focusing on what the capital improvements are going to be. We're also looking at, although we have a capital improvement investment and we're ensuring that investment up front, what does that mean for us across the district? So one of the things that's critical is almost looking at this as a triple bottom line approach. We're looking at it economically, we're looking at it environmentally, as well as socially. How are we impacting the community that we serve, socially and environmentally? Those inequities and injustices have an impact on our students and the communities that we support. We're looking at this as a life cycle based approach. We're looking at total cost of ownership and assessment. So what does doing more with less mean? Next slide. We plan on achieving this by implementing a strategy here with digital twins. This is accountability and transparency on our performance. Of course, we want to decarbonize, but how do we get there? We have to look at our design and our construction in a different way. We have to look at our maintenance and operation as being more optimal. Do we have the right job? Do we have the right positions? And then, what are those opportunities for growth? Sometimes we have to look at those positions, for example, boiler technicians. Well, we need to transition those boiler technicians as we're removing our fossil fueling burning equipment out, and then transitioning that into newer equipment, electric boilers, transitioning into renewable energy, how we're providing and sourcing, clean energy. And so what we're trying to do is we're looking at those opportunities, working with our unions to do that, to make sure that we have the support and the knowledge units and opportunities for training and retraining for that personnel within our district and within our community. Ultimately, we'll get to a quantifiable, measurable, and verifiable total cost of ownership. Next slide, please. We have 9 colleges in our district and a district office as well as 2 satellites. Definitely is a challenge. What I'm showing you here is what is that challenge? You may not be able to see the graphic very well, but what I want to share is the facilities maintenance, management and resources almost operates, as a business intelligence system. We are moving out of so much of the hands-on, and there's a lot more control to it. We have our voice over IP systems, we have our data networking, we have our HVAC controls, lighting control systems, building management systems, our energy management systems, all that access. And, we have our security fire panels, ultimately result in a management control operating system. And sometimes they're operated independently, individually, not working together. This is something that's creating some issues across the district. Our industry partners probably have very similar issues. This is one of those challenges we're going to try to address. So this slide basically represents a timeline, somewhat of a pathway of what the district's been doing. This is a year for us. We're celebrating 20 years of leadership, in my opinion. In 2001, the district established sustainability design standards, and we provided a blueprint for green building. Early on, the district committed to installing on-site renewable energies. We had solar panels very early, and we committed to providing, ensuring that 15% of our energy would come from renewables. In 2009, we visited our guidelines and we established the green papers. Some of these examples of buildings are LEED Platinum certified buildings for us. And then, not only that is opportunities for zero net. So in 2013, we do have a building at Harbor College. It's a science complex that was a LEED Platinum building that is approaching net zero. So ultimately, our passing of our most recent resolution last July is just showing a consistent effort and a movement toward our commitment to clean energy and sustainability. As we move forward to this, we've also dedicated $75 million towards projects to improve energy efficiency as we move through this space. What you'll see today are some tools to optimize operational performance. What we're looking at is better ways to ensure the efficiency of our lighting, IT, cooling and heating, looking at our central plants and maximizing the usage of our infrastructure. We're also looking to empower our facilities managers to plan to optimize their schedules. If we can go back to the previous slide, I just want to hit on this a little bit more to ensure that, you know, we want to make sure that we're educating and sharing knowledge. It's important that we share the goals, and we share that the impact, time of use, and what that means, because ultimately we do need to change behavior. We need to change behavior district wide. That is definitely going to take a monumental effort, and we need all stakeholders and all constituents involved in that. And that's why we adopt and we truly respect and appreciate the shared governance process for us to do that. Next slide, please. To enable the district to maximize their values, these are a couple of key points for us. Life cycle cost analysis is critical, and it's important for us to recognize and understand that total cost of ownership. So often we focus on the capital investment of a building, system, or facility. Well, ultimately that's maybe 15 to 20% of the total life cycle cost. So what's left? What's the rest? Ensuring that we have these intricate systems and how we best analyze and unlock the potential requires that we increase those knowledge units, that we commit to ensuring that we are maximizing the efficiency of their equipment and understanding the usage. And so renewable potential is definitely an offset to building the building and energy demand. At this point, I'd like to transition the rest of this presentation, the next portion of this presentation, over to Aris Hovasapian. Aris?
Thank you, Dr. Smith, and thanks to USGBCLA for having us today. And I'm gonna give a bit of a summary of some of the successes and wins that we've had over the last year or so, I would say. So as Dr. Smith spoke about earlier, very briefly, our Board of Trustees passed our resolution on clean energy and sustainability in July of last year. And the graphics at the bottom kind of hit the highlights of what the major goals are. So we wanted to hit, with the commitment was 100% renewable electricity by 2030, 100% carbon free by 2040. That's the decarbonization electrification piece. And then some goals on transportation, including EV charging at 25% of our parking stalls by 2030, encouraging active transportation and mass transit opportunities. So those are just some of the highlights, but we also included additional goals and targets on other categories like energy efficiency, waste, stormwater, fossil fuel extraction facilities and setbacks, divestment from fossil fuel investments with our pension partners, and additional curriculum and technical training opportunities. And all of this will be fleshed out in further detail as we develop our Sustainability Vision 2040 plan to chart the path to our 20-year goal at 2040, which was 20 years when we passed the resolution. Now we're at 19, now is our 19-year goal as of this year. Next slide, please. So additional commitments and goals in the resolution, we included a requirement for establishing a green revolving fund where energy efficiency savings can be reinvested for additional energy and sustainability opportunities. The resolution includes an investment of $75 million to achieve these goals for the first 10 years. We do believe that it's going to be more than $75 million to achieve the big target in 2040, but this is definitely a very, very good start. And we are very proud to be in a leading position in the California Community College system and pulling the system along to match our the other state education systems, the UC system and the Cal State system, in their commitments on sustainability and clean energy. Next, please. So Harbor College, one of our colleges, is essentially leading the way for LACCD's earliest clean energy sustainability efforts. A couple of years ago, the Harbor Science Complex was certified as a LEED Platinum and is an emerging ZNE building. We are currently doing a microgrid feasibility study for Harbor College that will be delivered in the next couple of months to give us some concept of what it would cost and what the benefits would be of installing a microgrid system at Harbor College. We recently were awarded 2 grants from LEDWP to support clean energy efforts at Harbor College. One grant was for greenhouse gas reduction efforts for $500,000 that will support projects to reduce GHG emissions at Harbor College. That'll kick off in the late summer, early fall of this year. And then we were awarded a community partnership grant of $50,000 that will support a fellowship to provide education and outreach on energy sustainability to the campus community and the surrounding neighborhoods. That'll be starting in August of this year. And the efforts at Harbor College will inform similar efforts at other colleges. Obviously, we'll be taking lessons learned and applying them as we expand the scope of these types of efforts and projects to our other 8 colleges and other facilities. Next slide. And here's another photo of Harbor College as well. We're also very cognizant and very interested in efforts to reduce the heat island effect at our colleges. We recognize that there's a lot of hardscape that's accumulated over the years, and we want to address those concerns and those issues that that cause an increased heat island effect at our colleges and to the surrounding communities. So this is something that we're very much conscious and consciously trying to design around and to add new features that will reduce the heat given off by the heat island effect into our buildings, into the surrounding neighborhoods, and do that little bit of mitigation on the climate issue through the heat island effect. Next slide, please. And historically, as Dr. Smith mentioned, we've invested a lot in clean energy sustainability. So over the past 20 years, we've installed solar PV systems on site at each of our colleges. And this is just a graphical representation of the capacity, the KW capacity. The light green bars indicate systems that are already installed. The dark green bars indicate systems that are planned to be installed. We do have a very diverse geography and land use profile at our colleges. So some of our more crowded colleges in terms of buildings obviously would have a little bit less opportunity for solar PV. Some of our other colleges that have big parking lots have presented a bigger opportunity for solar PV. But we are looking at additional opportunities, and we want to make sure that we maximize the on-site solar PV systems and renewable energy generation even further, and make sure that we take advantage of every opportunity to increase our on-site renewables to help us achieve our 2040 goals. Next slide. And we are partnering with our utility companies for EV charging through their rebate programs. So we are currently in design with a vendor for our colleges in LEDWP territory. We have just over 300 charging stations reserved through LEDWP's EV charging rebate at those locations. We have a vendor that's available to us through a statewide master contract that we were able to stand up with the Community College Foundation, the California Community College Foundation. And working with this vendor, we were able to apply and reserve rebates that would support the 300 plus charging stations at a value, an aggregate value of around $3 million. So we're very, very happy for the opportunity from LEDWP, and we look forward to Southern California Edison opening their rebate program later this year. We've already been in touch with some staff over there to make sure that we're first in the queue when that opportunity becomes available, so that we can take advantage of those EV charging locations as well. Next slide, please. And some of the awards and recognitions that we've received recently, including from USGBC-LA. The California Community College Chancellor's Office recognized LACCD for the Excellence in Energy Sustainability Award for Faculty Student Initiatives in January of this year. LACCD is a member of the statewide Climate Action and Sustainability Steering Committee. That's a committee that's going to be making some recommendations on system-wide goals and targets for the community college system. USGBC-LA graciously awarded us the Municipal Innovation Award in August of 2020 for passing the Clean Energy and Sustainability Resolution. And then the Better Buildings Challenge, Los Angeles awarded us the Walk the Walk Award in April 2020 and the Industry Leadership Award in March of 2021 related to the Clean Energy and Sustainability Resolution as well. Next slide. And through fellowships that we've been able to stand up in the past, we've really engaged a lot on outreach and education to our campus communities. Unfortunately, in 2020 with the pandemic, we had to take all those efforts virtual. So we stood up a newsletter. That's the photo on the right-hand side of the page. There was a biweekly newsletter related to sustainability at LACCD and discussing sustainability related topics. We stood up a speaker series. We had 19 sessions, remote sessions on Zoom, and we made those extra credit opportunities for students, for professors to offer to their students who are obviously all taking classes online. We had a climate crisis education session for maintenance and operations staff. We had about 220 attendees from our 9 colleges M&O staff members. And obviously I already spoke about the newsletter with the photo on the right. Next slide. This leads me to introduce Professor Leddy of the Sustainable Environment Institute to speak about some of the Institute's efforts at LACCD over the years. So Professor Leddy, please take it away.
Thank you, Aris. As I think viewers can see, facilities at the LA Community College District has really pioneered a lot of the goals and achievements that we have as a large organization already undertaken over the years, beginning as far back as 2003. The Sustainable Environment Institute is actually an effort made primarily by faculty at the district level, which is what we call the Academic Senate, to create a rather modest effort to change or encourage changes in the curriculum that would either infuse existing course material with what we like to call green content, initiate new courses in environmental sustainability, environmental science, and environmental studies, and maybe even as far as our West LA College has gone, even institute an associate degree in sustainability. There's still a long way to go, and I think really we are in some ways following facilities, because over the last few years there's been really quite a gulf between what we do in the academic sphere and what the district does in the area of facilities. Fortunately, thanks to Dr. Smith's and to Aris Hovasapian, I think we're bridging that old chasm between what we do in the classroom and what we're doing in our buildings. With that, next slide, please. You can see that we have a mission to increase environmental awareness and community participation, as well as buy-in from our faculty on those efforts that are being made with the actual facilities themselves. Next slide, please. We have actually in the past, prior to COVID, have a few milestones we're very proud of, including formally leading or facilitating lead AP classes in 2 of our campuses. That was at East LA College and Valley College, and as well as arranged events and guest speakers and the like, something you can see that also facilities has taken on during the COVID period. Next slide, please. Today, confronting the problem of teaching remotely, the Sustainable Environment Institute has taken on revamping its website and producing a very excellent newsletter that comes out 4 times a year, very well curated and researched, as well as now what is a very active Facebook page with about 8,000 people visiting it on a weekly basis. So that's all very encouraging. Next slide, please. What we tried to do then during this period of remote teaching is to enhance what we offer on our website to help faculty develop better content for online teaching. And we've also been able to reach out to the Southern California Marine Institute and joined that particular consortium as the only community college district in the consortium. So it's mostly Cal State's, UCLA, Occidental College. It's all four-year institutions and graduate programs. We are the only community college district that is actually offering the opportunity for faculty that teach marine biology, oceanography, and of course for students to get field experience on their research vessel. So you can see that Alta Sea has actually seen us in the third one, education one at the bottom. They mention us specifically, as well as the Cabrillo Aquarium. Next slide, please. So we set for ourselves new academic goals. And that has to do a lot with really what students are seeking today and what we expect to see changes in curriculum, given what are the new emphases in education. What I'm referring to is the climate program that the Biden administration is attempting to implement that actually touches many aspects of federal expenditure, including education. So that we might very soon find the resources, but also the demand on the part of students to enroll in community colleges and either with an associate degree in sustainability or transfer credits toward a four-year degree at a four-year institution in that same area. Cal State, for instance, offers a minor in sustainability and has at some of its flagship campuses now for a few years. So articulating with those four-year programs in sustainability would allow our students to pick any major they wanted when they transfer, but to also have sustainability as a minor. That would be very important in providing an environmental basis for careers or degree programs that we normally might not associate with environmental science or environmental technology, but nonetheless are there. So that a business major with a sustainability minor will probably find more opportunities, actually broader opportunities for business than without the sustainability minor. So we are trying to meet that demand with new courses and with new incentives for faculty to do that. This shows you our newsletter as such as it is today. This is the May issue that just came out last week, and you can see that it features quite a few articles that cover everything from the biosphere to the very, very local. So we went from the Biden administration's climate positions, the United Nations positions, and then the very, very good news of the plunging costs of photovoltaic solar, which promises to be, together with batteries, a major game changer for rooftop solar. Our environmental library is carefully curated to feature very well chosen and reputable sources, particularly on climate change, but there are about 4 categories in there that have to do with the biosphere and, very importantly, with positive changes that are happening with young people and social movements and environmental activism in general. Next slide, please. The teaching resources, here you can see 4 of what are 6. We've grouped them in this way. These are all free of charge. They're hosted either by state or federal or educational institutions. Some of them are standalone courses, as you see under online courses, and some are basically repositories of film and animation clips and things that faculty can use to enhance a lecture. I actually access these all the time to enhance my own lectures. Next slide, please. And then we have our now quite successful Facebook page, which we encourage you to visit and like and follow. It has a series of articles that we post there, as well as links to our webpage and our newsletter. So the more recent efforts that we're trying to do in conjunction with Dr. Smith is to create campus sustainability committees that would be chaired by campus presidents, bring in faculty, facilities, administrators, and students to take part in and understand the goals that facilities is setting for electrification of buildings and decarbonization. That buy-in is really very important. And we really want to see a big shift on the part of faculty. You know, the phrase is organizing faculty is like herding cats. And it's true. They are a very difficult lot to get the attention of, but at this point, the need is very great. So these committees would, in fact, mobilize the resources toward a series of goals that are coming out of facilities at this time. Next slide, please. So reducing waste Our students face a problem with food insecurity, with housing, with transportation costs, and it's not just the difficulty in meeting tuition needs, which might in the very near future be free, but it's also the other costs of going to school that we want to make easier for the fact that we do serve 230,000 students in the LA Community College District. Next slide, please. So the three-legged stool of sustainable development is not just the economic bottom line, but it also includes, of course, the environmental sustainability goals and the social ones. So it is an emphasis that we give to the equity issues involving environmental injustice or environmental justice issues in particular communities. Many of our students actually are born and raised in those very communities that have the highest concentration of environmental bads, if you will. So including environmental justice issues and working with EJ organizations at the community level is incumbent on any of our 9 campuses. Next slide, please.
Thank you. Thank you, George. George Leddy is a lifelong educator and director of Sustainable Environment Institute. As Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So, your digital twin is worth more than you. In the digital age, the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data. Your digital identity is essentially any personal data existing online that can be traced back to the real you. Photos, preferences, posts, social media, search engine history, etc. The more that is known about you, the easier it is to target personalized marketing at you. Similarly, in the built environment, there's a vast amount of data. How do you unlock this valuable asset for the client? The digital twin unlocks the value by supporting improved decision-making, when in turn creates an opportunity for positive feedback loop in the physical twin. In an educational organization with multiple stakeholders and shared governance, sharing benchmark data is very important. It's about understanding the problem and getting others to make the right choices with you. In our context, digital twin is a virtual representation of a system that spans an entire life cycle of our infrastructure assets and the systems that support the build environment. It's updated from real-time data and uses simulation, machine learning, and reasoning to enable our campuses to operate efficiently. It has a single cloud-based platform that integrates data to optimize operations and maintenance through data organization and advanced analytics. Deep decarbonization within the built environment is the next critical step to solving the greatest challenge we're facing today. That is climate change. Our approach is to create an integrated energy master plan that provides outputs in real time, trends, and future energy consumption. Our approach to digitizing the physical asset is as follows. Take the work that's already been done by the design teams on the BIM 360 models on recent projects. For older buildings, one needs to create energy models. It'll incorporate GIS models. It will interface with the building management systems, providing real-time energy consumption. The software will reflect to different what-if scenarios to optimally align with on-site renewable energy generating systems and battery storage. Future buildings and buildings that will be demolished will also be considered in the digital twin. So one has a complete alignment of the integrated energy master plan with the facilities master plan and shows a phased approach. The LACCD digital twin will be used to deliver the Board of Trustees policy goals. That is to say 100% renewable energy by 2030 and 100% carbon free from all other energy sources. That is to say combustion of fossil fuels. By capturing all that data from the district's assets, building by building, we will have a holistic insight into the data of the campus. The data will no longer be in silos, but it'll be unified on a single platform. Then we can analyze the data, optimize the performance of all our building assets, and maximize carbon reduction. It's about understanding the problem and getting others to make the right choices with you. Data will provide reports and dashboards for all the stakeholders. With real-time data, we can evaluate if the energy model that design teams submit for buildings behaves as predicted. The model will allow scenario planning, better planned preventive maintenance, enhance resilience in asset management with safer and faster responses, inform a path to net zero energy, enable performance comparisons between predicted and actual, map sustainability objectives at 9 colleges and the district office. This slide shows our approach, and it's probably the most sustainable and in an efficient order. The image on the left shows a typical campus. The height of the buildings designate the energy use intensity, EUI. The higher the EUI, the taller the building. The color designates the energy consumption of the building. The image on the right are the pie charts. The larger the pie, the greater the consumption. A smaller pie is a smaller value of energy being consumed. The pie is then broken down into segments or slices. Each segment or slice, an energy category, for example, lighting loads, HVAC loads, and plug loads. This assists in deciding which energy efficiency measure would have the greatest impact to the building. For a digital twin tool to be successful, one needs to understand the physical asset. What are the elements that exist already in the 3D BIM models, GIS, incorporating energy conservation measures, which are sometimes not reflected in the energy models, and incorporating maintenance and operations data? There may be district level operations and financial models we have to plug in. And also we'll use data analytic tools. And the outcome at the end of the day is healthy people, healthy place with an energy system optimized. First of all, start with a digital twin that provides you the baseline. Use the building management system for optimization. Incorporate low-hanging fruit like energy retrofit projects, those sort of types of projects. Then go to the deep green retrofit, central plant alterations, microgrid systems, incorporate local energy networks, renewable energy generation, which all leads to a zero carbon campus. As the artificial intelligence develops, as the data grows, the patterns emerge. See, updating and learning. Think, reasoning and optimizing. Do, informing and acting. Learning provides an increased level of value to the college. Preventive maintenance, maximizing life cycle value and utilization of resources. This is the contact information of the speakers. So if you need to get in touch with them, please do. And so I know we may have a little time, but let's try some questions which have already come in. I think I've got them in. Yeah, okay. The first one is, what is meant by shared governance, and what is it shared governance in the community context? In the community college context. So Dr. Smith, could you please answer that one?
Absolutely. And if I don't mind, if my colleague, Dr. Leddy, wants to chime in, feel free. I know he has a lot of experience with this as well. But basically, it's an opportunity. Well, there's two things here. Shared governance is both a structure and a process. And it's basically a partnership. We want to ensure that all stakeholders have equity in the goal, accountability, and ownership. So we want to make sure that we're working to ensure that faculty, students, our staff, administrators, we're all rowing in the same direction, and we have meetings openly and transparently, and with transparency to talk about things and then moving forward and how we're going to get there. Dr. Leddy, did you want to add anything?
Well, it's always a challenge at the District Academic Senate to remind faculty and, of course, administrators downtown that we have this system of shared governance because each campus, we have 9 campuses, each campus sometimes wants to be its own world and resists direction from 770 Wilshire. So it's always a struggle to get both the chancellor's office and the trustees to recognize that they have to work with faculty at every campus level. But that is how we work, and that is how we have informed and supportive consent from faculty.
Okay, the next question. What contact points exist to bridge sustainability practices in the built environment and the academic courses and degree programs in environmental studies and sciences? That has to be George, huh? Has to be George.
Well, this was a challenge that we actually faced a long time ago when facilities first started following the board directives for LEED platinum buildings as a standard on campuses for all the new bond money that was being used to expand the capital improvements. Since then, we've wanted to use that opportunity for students to have what we might call a living classroom, or a direct link to what is actually happening physically in HVAC systems, in insulation, in water conservation. And we're looking forward to that possibility as well, to the degree that we also expand the area we call environmental technology. So our 3 TAP codes are environmental studies, environmental science, and environmental technology, which we also know as CTE, that's job training. And that is somewhere where Trade Tech in particular, one of our campuses, leads in offering those particular programs in everything from photovoltaic solar to gray water plumbing, and now we see also in food waste processing and the like. So I think there are many as yet unexplored opportunities for that overlap between what we do in the classroom and what facilities is doing on the campus.
Thank you. The next question. This is an interesting one. Why do we need to electrify buildings if the grids are getting cleaner? I think the context comes from the board resolution, because on the second part, it says the LACCD Clean Power Resolution, which requires 100% carbon-free from all energy uses. You know, that's fossil fuel, gas, diesel generators. And I know we're updating the standards to reflect that, but it's in the resolution and all the contracts going out are reflecting that. So is there anyone who'd like to take that question?
Well, you pretty much answered that question.
No, it's why do we need to? The question I think is why do we need to? Because they're saying, I know a lot of people are saying, okay, electricity is fine, but there's so little gas being used. So what's the point of taking all these gas boilers out and diesel generators out? It's such a small portion. And why are we pursuing that? So I think, does anyone want to take a stab at it?
Sure, I'll go.
Oh, okay, Aris, please.
So, you know, over the last couple of years, especially we've seen that the science has essentially dictated that we need to get off fossil fuels of all kinds as fast as possible. So we need to electrify all the building energy needs that are being served by fossil fuels, such as natural gas, diesel, and then you can extend that to transportation as well with gasoline, diesel for trucks. And that you know, in transportation, it's a little bit clearer and a little bit more imminent with the governor's 2035 decree for new vehicle sales having to be zero emissions by 2035. But it's just, you know, we have to replicate the same thing on the built environment side. We just need to get off fossil fuel uses and electrify those processes as fast as possible.
Yeah, I'd like to add something on that. That's very interesting, Aris. You know, if we look at the global context, there's an urgent need to disrupt the fossil fuel sector. I mean, as Aris said, 2 of the biggest users are obviously electric power stations. We're using coal and natural gas, and the transportation sector. You know, they're using gasoline. The IMF, the IMF estimates we're subsidizing the fossil fuel sector globally by $5.3 trillion per year through direct and indirect subsidies. It is problematic to continue these subsidies. Yes, it means we will upset the existing vested interests that operate in a near monopoly market. We can take the $5.3 trillion and make it an investment into the 100% renewable energy, a global clean grid on which the sun never sets. This will require all of us to work together, just as we did with the COVID pandemic. You know, we have to change the regulatory environments, public investments, private innovations, and market forces, you know, the usual carrot and stick. So yeah, I think it's a global thing. I totally agree. The next one is, do we see a wider use of digital twin beyond the implementation of the clean energy and sustainability resolution?
I can take that one.
Okay.
Well, in short, yes, this is something that we're implementing now. Yes, I do see it as a benefit. As this asset matures, it becomes more data rich. It gives us an opportunity, for greater options virtually around our financial and sustainability decisions. The digital twin recommendation will bring greater granularity to existing reports within our organization. It gives us an opportunity to improve our user experience, enhance our workflows, wayfinding, improvements to spaces, building services, real-time simulation and management, safety, security, equipment management, as well as support what we're trying to develop. So as we transition from only having basically an education master plan that informs a facilities master plan, well, now we're also going to need a sustainability master plan that'll support and inform both our facility master plan as well as our energy master plan, which gives us the tools that we need to map out our plan and to ensure that we can achieve our 2030 goal as well as our 2040 goal.
Excellent, excellent. The next one, it seems like the digital twin will let you predict with great accuracy impact of strategies to be implemented. Are there any drawbacks to having too much information? Let me take that one. Is there too much information? I tell you, I'm a data guy, so I'm going to be biased. I'm so into data and facts and figures. So no, I'm going to say I don't see any drawback. At the end of the day, key stakeholders are using the data to make better decisions. Use relevant data with reduced uncertainties. Ensured planned decision outcomes are accomplished. Higher productivity, less anxiety. That seems to me a good thing.
Yeah.
This will help our facilities directors to exercise greater control over the physical assets remotely. You can be anywhere. To understand user behaviors and needs, so they can better be positioned to optimize their user experience and the build assets. All these sort of things come in really well. And finally, we got the final question. Where do community colleges need to grow to meet the challenges of a sustainable economy? Wow. Where do community needs to grow?
I think that was one I planted. I also see that we're possibly out of time, but I think we really have to commit ourselves to environmental curriculum and not just pay lip service to it, which I think unfortunately happens too often.
Well, and I'll piggyback on that one. It's important that we recognize that each college campus is a living learning lab. And then as we're developing assets and we're providing capital improvements, these are opportunities for growth, to inform, increase awareness, and to share with the communities that we serve.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Hopefully, we'll be able to come back next year or the year after and show the actual digital twin operating. So that's what I would like to see. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating in our presentation, and I appreciate my panelists.
Everybody.